Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps a lot. And also keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Lastly, I'll be looking at the comments and responding for the next 3 hours after this video is released. If you want to chat, but you couldn't get your comment in within that time frame, feel free to reach out to me on Twitter. I'll put that in the description below, or email me. Thanks. All right, here we are in the afternoon hours of Thursday, August 5th. We're going to take our daily look at SoFi. Let me just mention before we get into the video, I had a choice today to whether record the video kind of early or fairly late. So it was either record it now, which is just before power hour, or not record it and release it until probably 9 o'clock tonight, maybe 10 o'clock tonight. So I'm opting to do it earlier. That said, if something happens toward in the last 90 minutes or so of trading today that's really impactful, I'll either create a post on my channel tonight and publish the post, or I'll make another quick video and just kind of mention whatever happened. Hopefully that's not the case, because I don't think there'd be a great a great happening. If anything, it would probably be something that would drive us down. But as long as that doesn't happen, then I think we're okay. But that's why this video is coming out a little bit early. But tomorrow we'll get back to the normal schedule of taking a look at or after close. So volume today coming in quite a bit lower than yesterday. So yesterday we finished the day at 25.5 million. We're not going to get anywhere near that today. And so in a sense, it is nice to see that the big volume day this week, which was yesterday, was the highest the highest volume day, which was yesterday, was the big green day. And then the sell pressure that's been coming in has been, much lower than what we saw yesterday. But that said, yesterday was so anomalous and not being followed up by like a back-to-back green day. So that's definitely not a great sign. So in terms of whether or not we are going to have a run-up to earnings, it's looking unlikely that's if that is going to happen, that it's going to start this week. I definitely don't see any indication that it's starting this week. Yesterday, I don't think that that's what yesterday was about, because I don't think that it would just die down in a day if that was the case. I think this would be back-to-back several days of pretty high volume and green days if we're getting a run-up to earnings, with people hoping for some good news at earnings. So to me, that's not happening yet. So we'll have to see if it kicks off on Monday or Tuesday of next week. So we're not going to get a ton of time to watch that play out, which is unfortunate, because the more time, the more sort of meat you can pack onto that bone. But so it goes. But anyway, on the daily, what we're looking at now is still this consistent uptrend that indicated by the purple line here. I'm hoping that we get much further from it. So I'm hoping that these kind of become the outliers, anything that falls underneath this, because you see there's also this trend that we could plot here that would grab this bottom, this bottom, this bottom, and that initiating bottom. So if this one can actually hold, that I would find most compelling, obviously, because it gets us over that 1664 hump sooner, which, as you see today, it tried to establish support over there early this morning, or maybe in the pre-market it was. Yeah, tried to establish support there and just couldn't hold it in any way, shape, or form, and so it's peeled back since then. So I'm really hoping we don't stretch down into that red zone. That red box has proven to be very, very dangerous in the past. It falls through very, very quickly, and then the question is always, oh man, can it catch itself, right? That's this red box here from 1572 to 1574. So you see the big movements through this box several times. So again, I'm hoping that this dip has completed for the day and that there doesn't need to be any additional dipping. And furthermore, then hoping that this new trend line that could be working itself in here holds. And then the next obvious thing is it keeps getting drawn back to this white box. So at some points, it just becomes most important that 1664 support gets secured. So that's, I mean, for one, to me, that then unlocks the strong potential for a run to 18, because I don't see a bunch of stickiness in between those two zones, and also will just get us some distance from that white zone, which it keeps kind of coming back to. We see it even was consolidating around that way back here several days and weeks ago. So, that's what I would be looking for in the near term. Now, if we go ahead and take a look at the indicators on the daily to just kind of see where the trend is going, we're still playing out this bullish crossover. All right, so it's probably helpful actually to look at the entire context here. So overall, we see a couple of things happening, and this isn't going to shock anyone, but we see this big swing up on the MACD, and then we see this swing up on the MACD, and though this seemed like really impressive, it's was quite lackluster compared to this one. So we do see overall the bullish momentum dying down. You see that reflected in the price action here as this larger downtrend line is holding at the moment, right? It's all of this price that's caught in there. And so that's reflected in the MACD. Now, on the other hand, what we see is this area underneath the baseline dipping down to about minus 1.03, but then this most recent push down dragged us down quite a bit further than that. So the bearish momentum still continuing to pick up overall on the most macro scale, SoFi's all-time chart. Since it's relatively young, it's easy to capture it in one screen here. So just putting this like bullish crossover in perspective, we're still overall in this bear trend. And again, I know I'm not saying anything that you don't know just from suffering through the last several weeks and months, but just keep in mind that the bullish, the other piece of that puzzle is if and when bulls come in strong to SoFi, retail interest picks up, institutions start to come in any meaningful way, then there's so much room for explosive growth to the upside. That's when we could really see that play out, but also pay out. It's like muffling my words there a little bit, but yeah. So to me, that's what's most important here is you have to start somewhere with this, with a bullish trend. And so if we have an opportunity to actually reverse trends, that would be fantastic. And it's going to start with something like this with the bullish crossover. Now, us getting ourselves up and over the baseline would certainly get us support at that 1664 level. If we can then stretch up at least to the area where we reached last time, that I would think would put us over that $18 area. But there's a lot of work to do in order to get there. Now, the other couple of indicators that we were watching closely, the RSI, yesterday I was mentioning I was getting very, very close to testing that midline. So it's pulling back a little bit. Now, this is moving in a relatively bullish fashion, right? These lows that it's making overall, this is sort of an outlier here. These are overall higher lows and, of course, higher highs. So if that continues to be the case, then we're still on a collision course with the midline, and we'll have to see what happens there. If it rejects off of that hard, then it's obviously not a good sign. If it establishes up over that midline, then I would expect a run into overbought territory, and then I'll be most interested to see when it peels down from overboughts, what it does at the midline. Does it come down and test it, but then go back up to overboughts? To me, if we have a near future double dipping of overboughts with a stretch just to the midline or above in between those two runs, to me that could indicate that we are maybe turning the tide on this overall trend that we've seen, this overall bearish downtrend here. So that's what I'm going to be looking for in the coming days. And again, whether that's a run up to earnings or not, it could still play out without a run up to earnings, but that could be sort of like the longer term sort of cake that we have. That could be the treat that's in store. It's a longer term bullish movement, regardless of run up to earnings or not. So still obviously very bearish here on the MAs. These were already in a bearish formation, as you can see, leading up to today. So today obviously not giving it any help with reversal. That said, the 20 did come down enough because of yesterday's movement. Today we're getting very, very close to getting support off of that 20 there. So that's what we've been talking about previously, because we've seen in all previous run-ups, we've seen it go through the crossover and then establishing over the 20, and then that 20 really carrying it up, right? You see it here, and then it breaks the 20, and then it falls quite a bit. And here it's struggling with the 20, but when it gets support over it, then it carries it up quite nicely. When it falls through a lot. So now we're sort of, the part of the cycle that we're in at the moment is we do have price action. We have candlestick, we have a candlestick over the 20 here. 20 right now is sitting at 1572. Okay, and the price is at 1612. So we have the support of the 20. So if there's an ability to lift, again, regardless of it being a pre-earnings run-up or not, we're really, really well primed. We're well suited for a bullish run here, both from the 20 MA perspective, from the MACD perspective, and the RSI moving in this generally bullish form as well. So that's what I'm really looking for. And because it comes up pretty consistently, the short interest, still nothing on SoFi. There is no major short interest here. I know Benzinga put something out. I think that they're just wrong. So while this is a big increase today, it still just brings the percentage of the free float that's being shorted to 1.54%. The utilization, the loans, the lendership that is happening for SoFi shares is just 8.66% of what's available to be loaned out to short sellers. So to me, forget the idea of a squeeze. The setup is not here, even from the most foundational standpoint. There is no setup here for that. But what there is a bullish crossover on the MACD that's still continuing to gain strength. There's RSI that's moving strong, and there's now support from the 20 MA underneath today's candlestick that could, historically has shown to carry the price action up. So that's what I'm going to be looking for in the coming days. All right, well, I know today's video was a little bit herky-jerky. It's definitely throwing me off doing this more toward the middle of the day than after close, but so it goes. But hopefully it was still some info to digest, and I certainly appreciate you watching. All right, finish off the day strong, and I will see you in the next video.